Arsenal's momentum has come to a halt after massive wins against Tottenham and Bayern. A draw against 10-man Chelsea stopped Mikel Arteta's Gunners from going 7 points clear. So from the real reason behind our struggles, to the absence of William Saliba, the return of Martin Odegaard, and the true impact on the title race. As per, let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Baz14. Welcome back to your boys channel. And yeah, we might still be top of the league, but not winning that game against 10 men really is annoying. So we've got so much to break down today. As per, smash a like on this video if you do enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are now only 1,000 away from the big 250,000 subscribers. But starting off with the first thing, and that is 2 points dropped. In a game that was never going to be easy, going to Stamford Bridge, a team that has just destroyed Barcelona, a point after a week against Bayern and Tottenham. 7 out of 9 sounds decent on paper, with Arsenal now unbeaten in the last 7 visits to Stamford Bridge. I will not beat around the bush, this was a really poor performance. In the first half, Arsenal struggled to get any real control of the game. In terms of the halftime XG, Chelsea 0.33 and Arsenal 0.3. The real turning point should have been that red card after a nasty challenge from Moses Caicedo. The classic act of acting injured after you've made a poor challenge. Thankfully, VAR was able to intervene and send Caicedo off. But that's where I was looking at Arsenal to take advantage of a massive opportunity. With a man advantage run at Chelsea, get a control, show some urgency, become the end of the game in terms of the XG. Chelsea had 0.94. and Arsenal 0.99. Looking into the overall stats of the game, despite Arsenal having 72% of the possession, we were only able to create 2 big chances, with 8 shots and 4 on target, as well as 1 big chance missed. There was clearly something lacking, and that's where the focus turns to before the game, where despite William Saliba being spotted arriving with the Arsenal squad, surprisingly he was not a part of the starting lineup, with Mikel Arteta confirming before the game, Saliba felt uncomfortable yesterday, so we need to explore a little bit more on what exactly happened. I don't think it's something major, but it's enough to not be involved in this game, meaning just for the second time since the start of 2022-23, Arsenal were not able to call on one of at least Gabriel Magalhaes or William Saliba in a Premier League game as they took on Chelsea, the team that was second, the team that had just beaten Barcelona, as well as of course having that home advantage. In came Piero Hincapié and Christian Mosquera, taking over the absence of 2 of most Arsenal's important players, with Mosquera dropping a 7.1 rating, completing more passes than any player on the pitch at a 94% completion rate. Then you have Piero Hincapié drop a 6.8 rating with 56 accurate passes, as well as 6 defensive contributions. You had that moment in the second half, where Hincapié wins the ball back after a fantastic slide tackle on Pedro Neto, celebrating in Neto's face. And it's not that they were poor defensively or they gave Chelsea many chances. They may not be Gabriel Saliba in terms of consistency, but the real concern was elsewhere, and that being the Arsenal builder. Up against a Chelsea side that were being ultra aggressive, trying to press Arsenal and intimidate, Mosquera and Hincapié simply weren't of the standard of what we've seen from Saliba and Gabriel when it comes to giving Arsenal control of game. Despite the presence of Zubimendi and Declan Rice, and missing William Saliba, the player that often has the most Arsenal passes completed, Arsenal were really missing Saliba on the ball. The build-up was completely inconsistent, and every time Chelsea applied that pressure, Arsenal were hoofing the ball long and giving it back straight away. With no real level of high technical security, Enzo Maresca's side is known for being aggressive. They were always going to try to press Arsenal. Then losing Saliba just before the game not only cost Arsenal in terms of the set pieces, but on the ball going forwards, it also had a clear impact. In a game that I will give Chelsea a lot of credit, in particular Reece James playing in midfield, stepping up after Caicedo's red card and having a man of the match performance. I'm looking internal, I'm looking at Arsenal, I'm looking at Mikel Arteta. When you're given the opportunity to play against 10 men for a majority of the game, yes, you may be missing your centre backs, and that's always going to play a part, but could we have shown more urgency? Because the only bit of urgency that I saw came after Chelsea scored that goal from a corner. That's when you saw Martin Odegaard enter the field also to take that play, and for a very brief moment, you could see that Arsenal finally had a control. But even after scoring that equaliser, I want to see you knock on the Chelsea door. I want to see wave after wave of Arsenal attack. Because you've got the man advantage, you have the ability to overload. This is why I'm looking at this performance, and I'm putting it alongside Manchester United at the start of the season. In terms of being our poorest, players may have been missing, but after Caicedo gave us the opportunity, the chance to go 7 points clear and make an even bigger statement, I'm going to be straight up honest and just say, Arsenal should have done a lot better. Moving on to the second thing, and that is Saka walks Cucurella. In a game that, as I've said, Chelsea were trying to be aggressive. The prime example was Marc Cucurella. Every time Arsenal tried to find Bukayo Saka, Cucurella was right behind him trying to intimidate and trying to press. But that's what Bukayo Saka did, what Bukayo Saka does best. Walk his fullback around the park, with one example in the first half. Cucurella trying to press Saka into giving away a corner. Saka holds off the pressure and just walks around the player. The same fullback that had just locked up Lamine Yamal was getting dog-walked by Bukayo Saka in a game that Saka dropped a 7.7 rating, with 1 assist and 2 chances created, then playing a major part in the Arsenal equaliser, where he once again toys with Marc Cucurella on that right-hand side, cutting back inside and finding the perfect delivery to Mikel Merino. In a game that I'm looking at a lot of Arsenal players and saying that you weren't at your normal standard, Bukayo Saka was one of the very few that played the game like he deserved to win it. And I also want to give a bit of praise to Yuri and Timber, because on that right hand side, one thing that goes very unnoticed is how he's able to help Bukayo Saka make space, whether it's underlapping or overlapping, the more that we see Timber and Saka play together, the more that I'm starting to see signs of combination. But then you had the performance of Mikel Merino, and this, my friends, was definitely confusing, dropping a 7.5 rating, of course scoring the equaliser, but completing only 14 of 28 accurate passes in a game that he started up front, then got moved back into midfield. Mikel Merino is becoming quite a bit of a confusing player, because on the ball at times he can be slack, playing too many poor passes, giving the ball away, but you then focus on the game and the most decisive moments, and Mikel Merino is firmly involved. The first, of course, being the sending off. It's him who gets fouled by Moses Caicedo after a nasty challenge, with Merino even saying after the game, "I felt my ankle, but luckily I have very mobile ankles and body. I knew it was going to be a red card." And then of course he goes on to score the equaliser, with a lovely header inside the box, having now produced 28 goal contributions for club in country in 2025. I'm not sure what you are you a striker, are you a midfielder, are you a number 10? But when it comes to turning up in moments where you need him to score a goal, he is doing that consistently, with even Theo Walcott saying after the game, "I think Mikel Merino is more trusted in the big games. He's a player that you know what you're gonna get. I think Victor Gyökeres will be more of an impact player in big games. He'll learn from what Merino does." And that's where things get intriguing going forward. Mikel Merino has once again been a makeshift centre forward, but now you've got the return of Victor Gyökeres and Gabriel Jesus, both players that were available off the bench. You wonder how Mikel Arteta is going to change it, because as confirmed by the hand of Arsenal are set to face Manchester United in a behind closed doors friendly on the 6th of December at St George's Park. There is a potential for senior first team players to feature, depending on their rehab timeline, with Gabriel Jesus exceptional against Watford in the behind closed doors friendly. Moving on to the third thing, and that is Martin Odegaard is back. In a game that Arsenal was severely struggling to gain a level of control, enter the field Martin Odegaard, providing calm and composure straight away. Despite not getting a goal or assist, it was him getting the ball to Bukayo Saka consistently. In a game that he came off the bench and dropped a 6.3 rating, with no goal or assist or chances created, but 16 out of 22 accurate passes. There was a few moments where he tried to create his own chances, lofting balls into the box that were very comfortable for Robert Sanchez. And that's where you realise, Odegaard is a player that has limitations. Yes, he can be creative, but if you're trying to compare him to Bukayo Saka in terms of those crosses from outside, that is not an area he excels. Instead, his strengths lie in his build-up ability, dropping deep and linking up play, providing Arsenal tempo straight away. This was a game that if he was fully fit and available, I think Mikel Arteta would have definitely started it, because as soon as he entered this game, even for a very brief moment, you could see that Arsenal had a lot more composure and structure going forward. With the important return of the Arsenal captain, you also had another midfield battle going into the game. All the talk of Declan Rice versus Moses Caicedo, only for a player that a lot of Arsenal fans were calling a foul merchant, to receive his first ever Chelsea red card. Caicedo is a player that I rate very highly, once upon a time of course wanted by Arsenal, but in this game Rice was once again superior, dropping a 6.9 rating, completing 66 out of 71 accurate passes. I'm guessing that he won that midfield battle by the fact that he even played the 90 minutes, but for a player that's been so consistent for a very long time, he's also getting a lot of ratings and flowers from across the world. In fact, according to the recent Score 90 Ballon d'Or rankings, so far this season, Declan Rice ranks as number 3, behind only Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. When even Mikel Arteta was asked about the idea of Declan Rice winning the Ballon d'Or, Mikel says, "I hope so. That would mean that we've won a lot." And normally it's related to that. He was immense the other day. I think he's been immense since the start of the season, and he is incredible and a crucial player for us. And a player that Andrea Berta is working on, as confirmed by the reliable hand of Arsenal. Andrea Berta is set to open contract talks with Declan Rice very soon. Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is a left wing dilemma. In a game that we had no Leandro Trossard, in came Gabriel Martinelli starting on the left hand side. And you know what, I'll say it straight away, we really missed Leandro Trossard. In a game that Martinelli dropped a 6.0 rating, playing 57 minutes, with only 5 passes completed and not a single chance created, very nearly scoring just before halftime, producing a lovely save from Robert Sanchez. Now, according to the expected goals on target, registered at 1.26. But apart from that, when you focus on his overall play, there was a lack of technical security. He was giving the ball away time and time again, and his profile naturally is very different to Leandro Trossard. Martinelli is a player that wants to run in behind, and that's his main focus. And in games where you have that space, he's a player that can definitely hurt you. But having seen the impact of Trossard recently, not only scoring goals and getting assists, but more the dropping deeper in the build-up play and helping Arsenal overload, that was something that Arsenal severely lacked in this game. And that's where the focus now turns going forwards. Because in a game where you also had Noni Madueke play on that left-hand side, come off the bench and drop a 5.9 rating, with 11 of 14 accurate passes, he is a player that I think has a lot of potential. But whenever he has played on the left-hand side, for me his angle looks very awkward, unable to find the right areas to hurt teams. Yes, he has the ability to provide a cross, but whenever he seems to go on the right-hand side, even in that game against Bayern Munich, there's a reason why Madueke looks a lot more comfortable. When you've got the Arsenal captain available, he's also going to start. What does that then mean for Eberechi Eze? Are we finally going to see him playing alongside Odegaard, but on the left-hand side of the Arsenal attack? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments with all the players that we have available now, able to play on the left-hand side. Madueke, Martinelli or Eberechi Eze. Who do you think is going to be our starting left wing? Moving on to the fifth thing, and that is opportunity missed. In a week that was so good for Arsenal after wins against Spurs and Bayern Munich, the chance to make it 9 points out of 9 in 3 statements in a row was definitely very mouthwatering, but instead getting 7 points out of 9. It does feel like in this game playing against 10 men is a major reason to why Arsenal fans are so annoyed by the level of our performance. And likewise the Arsenal players were after the game, with the likes of Mourinho, Rice, Saka and Gyökeres all noticeably sad after the game. And that's because they know that even if we are 5 points clear, this was a game that you had a very good chance to go and win. Even right at the end when Arsenal made that final chance, with Victor Gyökeres all but about to attack that ball, Timber was in the way and it didn't quite work out. But as Mikel Arteta said after the game, it's been a massive week emotionally, physically and the opponents. We come in and we lose 2 more important players. We had 1 day less to recover as well. Then you play at Stamford Bridge where they just beat Barca, one of the best teams in Europe. Chelsea deserve the respect for sure, but the focus now will be on that title race. After another very important match week in the Premier League, where Man City were able to win 3-2 against Leeds. In a game they were 2-0 up, then drew 2-2, only for Phil Foden to score a 91st minute winner. The signs are still there though, scoring 2 goals and then conceding 2 goals. How sustainable is their form gonna be? And then you had a shock win for Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool actually won a game of football, winning 2-0 against West Ham, as Alexander Isak finally scored his first ever Premier League goal. But in terms of the Premier League table, Arsenal are still number 1, with 30 points after 13 games, 5 points clear second place Man City. As annoyed as I am at the Arsenal performance and the results, the one thing that still keeps me very hopeful going forwards is the players that we are missing and about to get. In a game where Arsenal had no William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, Leandro Trossard or Kai Havertz, you had the return of Victor Gyökeres and Gabriel Jesus, a part of the Arsenal squad on the day. And in terms of William Saliba, despite the injury not being major, Arteta has once again confirmed that he will undergo another test tomorrow to learn the extent of his injury. And then you even have Gabriel Magalhaes, who Mikel Arteta confirms is evolving well. We have to wait for that scan a little bit longer to be more precise in terms of timings, but I'm quite confident, especially with the way that Gabby takes every injury and pushes everybody. He won't be that low. With the focus now turning to Arsenal's next 6 games, Brentford at home, Villa away, Club Brugge away in the Champions League, followed by Wolves, Everton, Crystal Palace. There is a lot of annoyance in the Arsenal fan base that we could have won this game, but football is a sport that keeps on moving and is perfectly set by the hand of Arsenal, unbeaten now in 17 games. Worst performance of the season lands us a point at the bridge. That's Anfield, Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge and St James's Park all done. We beat Spurs and Bayern, drew to Chelsea, yet disappointed with the context. Both first row centre backs out, and yet we remain league leaders. We keep it moving. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1. It's not the result or the performance we were looking for, but you know what, we are still top of the league. So I guess if that's any sort of consolation, I'm going to take that. My friends, I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and in a bit.